everyone. This is Radull Live. Thanks for joining us. Today we are going to talk about cycling. And joining me is Charles Mbugua and Allan Gogo. So Charles?
Yes.
And Allan.
Allan.
And you are professional cyclists. At least you look like one. You look like maybe in your youth.
Looks like a team owner.
Wow.
Looks like a team owner. So, let me start with you, Charles.
Yes.
How did you get into cycling?
Well, it was back in 2013. Chris Froome had just won the Tour de France in 2012. And I'd always just,
Kenyan born.
Kenyan born, Kenyan trained. So, that whole thing just got a buzz in my head, and I decided, well, let me just get into this,
Let me give it a try.
Exactly. But I wouldn't exactly call myself a professional cyclist, because a professional cyclist, you get paid to
cycle.
Yes, nobody pays me to cycle.
Actually, then most of Kenyans are not professionals in reality and sport.
We can count them on two hands, I think. Yeah.
So
that was back in 2013. So I've been doing it since then. That's
since
9 years now.
And when you say doing it, local competitions, international competitions?
Well, local for most part. Actually, it's just local because getting to race internationally is a bit difficult. Our local situation is not the best. Getting riders to fly out and race, it's a bit difficult. Many challenges.
Yes, biggest one.
Yes, that one.
But we'll get into that discussion because it's
yeah.
part of what we want to discuss today. Allan, tell me about your journey with cycling.
So same journey as him. Got into cycling as a means of transportation when I was in campus. And then
when you said that, I just saw a black mamba in my head.
Actually, I started with a BMX. So I was riding. Yeah, I was riding.
You were gisty?
No. I was.
BMX is a gisty.
Imagine
they used to be.
Yeah, imagine a 20-year-old riding a pimped out BMX, raised seat.
All of a sudden.
Yeah. So that was back in 2010, and then in the middle of my campus days, I met Safari Simbas through it was Alex Sane, and he was like, "Dude, that's not the right bike for you, as much as you're using it to commute and stuff." So through them, I got a bike, and I started, riding around more, got to meet the community. And in around 2014, when I was graduating now, I met Charles, and together we formed, back then it was called Team Risasi, but then we rebranded to Team VeloNos. So it's been a journey of around 5 years for me, and then I took a step back from the sport, just to support other riders and to light other candles in this cycling community. Yeah.
Tell me about Team VeloNos. Why did you feel it was necessary to form such an outfit?
Okay, so Team VeloNos was born out of friendship back in 2014, 2015. We formed it because we were the only amateur cycling club in Kenya at that moment. We had the Simbas, who were professional, quote unquote, and then we also had the Kenyan riders who were coming up at that moment. They had sponsorship, they had a big budget, trying to get to the Tour de France within 5 years. That was their goal. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. So as amateur cyclists, we needed a club where we could compete amongst ourselves and also challenge the professionals or the semi-professionals. So we started that journey, and over the years we have rebranded a couple of times to the current outfit, which is Team VeloNos, and we are trying to raise the bar for the next generation of cyclists, because not every cyclist will make it to Kenyan riders, and not every cyclist will make it to Safari Simbas, because these are the two most commonly known professional teams in Kenya. They have proper funding, although not proper funding, but they are funded.
There's some funding.
Yeah, some funding. And they compete locally, internationally, regionally. So we just felt like, for us, out of Togoto Kikuyu, it was imperative for us to support the local community by having a proper club that can challenge the status quo.
So you were also a partner in VeloNos. What exactly do you do for the local riders?
So I'm the captain of Team VeloNos. So basically what we do is we source talent.
Mhm.
Actually, the talent comes to us because you see what happens, most people are usually riding by themselves. So when you see a group of guys riding, just say, hey, how can I join you guys?
you?
Yeah, because it's the safety in numbers in cycling. You get more recognition on the road. So basically that's how it happens. Talent comes to you. Yeah, and there's a big pool of talent in Kenya when it comes to cycling.
There's a big pool of talent in every single sport.
Yeah,
so what, do you have like professional coaches and stuff like that? How do you make sure you try and grow them when they join you?
So at this point, I don't think we have too many professional cycling coaches in Kenya. Certified, very few. I think we can count them on one hand. But we have people who have experience. A good example is David Kinja. He trained Chris Froome. Chris Froome won the Tour de France. I mean,
surely.
That's something. That's something. So yeah, he's been able to impart his wisdom and experience into so many riders in Kenya.
Does he work with you guys as well?
Closely,
very closely.
Yes. Actually, through Team VeloNos, we also have a subsidiary called Abayomi. So we call ourselves VeloNos Abayomi, and he's actually one of the partners under Abayomi. So really trying to impart his knowledge into us, and it's going to trickle down to the next generation as well. So he comes onto our events, he comes to our team, talks to the riders, the young riders, the old riders as well. Such as Charles, just getting to let them know.
He's an old rider.
Yeah, he's an old rider. He's a veteran cyclist. Yeah, so when you speak about coaches in Kenya, we actually relying heavily on the experience of professionals who've gone out and come back, because unlike football, which is the most commonly talked about sport in Kenya and the other sports, we do not have badges per se. You cannot say, I'm going to take my badges and then come back as a cyclist. You have to go through the UCI, and then they'll give you a program. Then once you complete the program, maybe it might be like 2 years or 3 years. However, with the professionals who've gone out and come back, they give us their knowledge. This is the way you're supposed to eat. This is the supposed to tune your bike. These are the equipment that you need to use. In terms of kit, this is also the way you're supposed to dress up. You just don't show up for a cycling race in a cotton jersey, or a polyester stuff. You need something fitting, because you need to be aerodynamic. You need to be aero as possible. So we are relying heavily on this.
So you do try to be as professional as you can be.
Exactly.
And I gather it's not cheaper.
It's not. It's not. Yeah, they say that cycling is one of the most expensive sports after Formula One, because for cycling, you'll need a proper bike, you'll need proper equipment, like a jersey. A jersey does not come cheap. And for him, like, for example, if he were to fall right now and tear his jersey, the team has gone at a loss of almost 10,000 shillings just for the jersey itself. Yeah, if he was to break his wheels, then you're looking at around 80,000 shillings just for the wheels. You haven't looked at the bike itself. So cycling is a sport that really requires a lot of...
How much is a bike? How much is a professional bike? I mean, at different levels, because I'm assuming there's a level that if you're at Tour de France, it's another, you're buying a caca. On average? On
average, for a proper bike, you'll be looking, if you go the dollars way, because that's the most common one, you'll be looking at around $1,500 for a proper entry level.
That's entry level.
Entry level. Competitive. And most of the time you'll get, these are hand-me-downs. These are not bikes from the shop. We are blessed to have the bike shop in Karen, currently stocking giant bicycles. And when you step there, you get to see that for an aluminium bike, you're looking at $2,500. If you go carbon, then you're looking at around $5,000 just for a proper bike.
That bike better ride me. I'm going to hurt my muscles riding it.
Well, you'll feel the difference.
So, but then how do you fund the program then, especially for talent who can't afford it?
So there's a lot of goodwill, first and foremost. It's passion and goodwill. So when you start with passion, what happens is you do everything to get your equipment. And then you go and train, go to races, you perform. Now, when you perform, people see you. And now corporates become interested. And we've seen cases where now individuals who have been sponsored bikes, kit, and now they're racing, let's call it semi-professionally.
So there is corporate interest.
There is.
So maybe just to add on to that, it's speaking from our perspective as Team VeloNos, we currently do not have a title sponsor. As you can see, our jersey is quite bland. We just have our own logos, and we fund ourselves through we hold regular events just to have cyclists come and compete against themselves. Most of these cyclists will pay entry fees. Out of the entry fees, we try and make sure that around 30% goes back to VeloNos. So that enables us to buy the kit, to support the kids as they're coming up, pay for their race entries to next events, transportation to these events. Like this weekend, we're having a race in Eldoret. We have to bus them from Nairobi to Eldoret and back. So, and most of these guys will be like, I'm riding for a club, so the club has to cater for this. So for us, we are privileged to be in a point where we can sustain ourselves internally and also externally through our personal salaries and, as you mentioned, goodwill from sponsors, corporates. Corporates have not come into cycling as much. We just saw, I think, a week ago or two, a big corporate has just come and sponsored a big bike race that's going to happen on 20th of November. And that's the direction, that's the trajectory that we hope other corporates will take in the future. So with that, it's going to open doors, not just for us, but for other clubs as well.
So you hold regular events, regular races?
Yeah.
Do you call them tournaments?
No.
Races?
We call them
races.
Yeah, we as VeloNos, as I said earlier, we have a subsidiary called Abayomi, which is now the events organizing, talent management side of the club. It's more corporate. So through that, we are currently the secretariat for the Kenya Cycling Race Series. It's called KCRS, whereby we get to partner with other event organizers and have an entire series running throughout the year. Right now, we've just closed the mountain bike series. We're just waiting for the road series, which is going to be ending on, I think, 1st of December, after the last event, which is going to be in Mashuru. And that way, you get more of like a table of sorts. And you get a rider who's top of the table, top of the standings in both mountain bike and road. And the plan for us is to, and also our partners in the Kenya Cycling Race Series, is to have more cyclists take part in this series, get consistent with the events, and as such, get to be noticed by corporates or by other teams internally, externally. And then that way the sport can get to grow, because if you get to do events haphazardly, today we're in Nairobi, tomorrow we're in Machakos, the next weekend we're in Mombasa, without
there's no structure. There's no proper. Actually, I like the idea of a series, because then it's you can also keep tabs on who's racing and get them licensed and things like that. Do you have a federation? Is there a cycling federation?
Yes, the Kenya Cycling Federation.
Where his face said so much.
Yeah, there is a federation, the Kenya Cycling Federation, KCF, and actually big shout out to Kenya Cycling Federation for everything that they're doing for the sport, for the support they're also giving us in allowing us to run the Kenya Cycling Race Series. Unfortunately, it's not yet sanctioned by them because there are a lot of things that they need us to align with before they can sanction it, but we're hoping that they can sanction it next year, so that it can be an official KCF affiliated event series. But yes, there is a federation. They're trying their best over the years.
Do they run a structured
basically
race competition league, whatever it's called in cycling?
Yeah, so basically what happens, we've been organizing most of the races since 2014. This is now 8 years. 8 years. So what they've been doing, and this I think is a good thing, they use most of our races as selection races, to select the team that will go and represent our country, abroad. So they've been doing that since I think 2015, 2016.
You're so diplomatic.
The thing about
you're so diplomatic. Basically, the federation does nothing. They do all the work and they come and pick players.
Yeah, so I think for cycling,
but you're in the sports. I want to ask you to spoil any relationship you need to maintain.
Well, just to jump in, so you see, what happens is this is very genuine. For us to organize cycling races, we need to be sanctioned by the federation. You need to pay fees and all that. But we haven't been paying fees. They don't require us to pay the fees. So they've been letting us run, you know, the events, and then they
let you do their work for free.
Let's call it
Public-private partnership.
Mutually beneficial.
Okay. No. I mean, it's fair enough. If you guys are happy, who am I not to be? You know.
No, we are not happy, but they could do more. They
should
more.
bring money into the sport.
Exactly.
They should be out there marketing, putting you on the map, getting international funding, whatever it is, because I'm sure they're affiliated to an international organization.
Exactly.
Do more. They're diplomatic, I'm not. Do more for cycling. So we see it grow, but the fact that they let you run the series, I'm sure is something you appreciate.
Yeah, of course.
I want us to take a break. When we come back, you mentioned something about kids programs and things and development of the sport. I want to talk a bit more about that so that we know where we're going with cycling in this country. So we'll see you in just a bit. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. I am here with Charles Mbugua and Allan Gogo from VeloNos. It's called Team VeloNos.
Team VeloNos.
They are, amateur cyclists. Can I say semi-professional cyclists?
With competitive ambition.
With competitive ambition.
Yes.
Talking about that, how far do you want to go with your cycling?
Well, at the moment, I've decided to put a bit of a hold on it and focus on growing talent and creating opportunities through event organization. So that's where I am at the moment.
That's where you are by default, because the opportunities are not being created for you to grow, which is unfortunate. Allan, we did talk a little bit, you mentioned coaching children as well. How does that program work?
Yeah, so through Team VeloNos, we have one of our coaches who's not here. It's called David Ndada. He runs a program where he mentors young kids, teaches them how to ride the bikes, fix the bikes, and also, you know, just come up through the sport. And then after that, now when they graduate now to join, you know, like bigger, when they have bigger ambitions and they have to fly the nest, they can join other teams like the Simbas, as we said, Kenyan riders. But personally, on my end, I am currently managing a team called the Development Squad, which is a team of talented individuals who came through a Black Mamba series that was held in 2019, that was started by the late Sule Kangangi, and God rest his soul in peace.
That was tragic.
Yeah, it was tragic.
Oh, that was tragic.
Yeah, very tragic, but I think he lit the path for us. And although he left at a very unfortunate time, we believe that the work that he started and his partnership with Abayomi, with the Giant Bike Shop, with Team Amani, with all these guys, his work gets to continue, and we get to mentor young kids who looked up to Sule, because every day when I'm driving around with his decal on the car, you get people stopping you like, oh, you need Sule, oh, my kid is interested in cycling, how can I? You know?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we really hope that we can inspire the next generation of kids just to take up the bike and cycle, not as hard as possible, but also as smart as possible, because we've realized that the current generation, it's not about how hard you train, it's also about how smart you train. Yeah.
Just to fill people in on what happened to Sule, because they're wondering what we're talking about. Just briefly tell us.
Yeah, so Sule Kangangi was one of the best cyclists to ever grace the Kenya cycling scene. Sadly, he left us 2 months ago when he was racing for Team Amani in the United States of America after a high-speed crash. It was a very sad situation for all of us, not just
Sudden.
Yeah, and we can see that it affected the whole community, not just locally but also globally. And unfortunately, through his passing, and also fortunately, we have seen a lot of interest in cycling. Everyone was asking, okay, so what programs was he invested in? What was he doing in Kenya? Because after his retirement from the road, he came onto the alternative racing. We call it alternative racing, whereby you take part in gravel racing, mountain bike racing. And before his death, he's just come back from the Cape Epic, and he was targeting the Cape Epic for 2023. He was involved in a lot of community-based activities. He was working a lot with orphans, a lot with widows, and also running the Black Mamba Development Series, which was the next frontier for guys who want to come up through, the single speed racing. So his belief was that if you can handle single speed racing, you can get the knowledge and the skill to be able to operate and race these high-end bikes. And through that, we have currently a team of four guys and one lady who took part in the development series and now are part of the development squad, which is currently being fronted by Giant Bicycles Kenya. So we're hoping that these 4 guys and one lady can challenge Team Amani, can challenge Kenyan riders, can challenge Safari Simbas, can challenge Team VeloNos as well. Not just for the short term, but also for the long term, and also progress through the ranks. So this year they're with the development squad. Next year they might sign with Kenyan Riders or Team Amani or Simbas, and then we get to fill them in. If you leave, then we have to get another rider. So yeah, that was the work that Sule was doing, and through Abayomi we continue to carry out his work, carry out his legacy. We are hoping that the family will allow us to have a foundation registered in his name, and that way we can support.
That would be fantastic.
We can support cyclists coming through. Yeah.
I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best on that. I see one of the things you're trying to do with Team Abayomi is showcase Kenya. And that is something we really don't take advantage of in sports tourism.
Yeah.
And look at the country we have.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So, and Abayomi, we have this thing called Team Tembea, whereby we go through, to different places. Today we're in Nairobi. Today, over the weekend we'll be in Eldoret. The next weekend we'll be in Narumoru. The next weekend we'll be in. And
you cycle?
No, now this is professional cycling, just for the events. But also we have these ultra events where guys ride. For now, the most popular one is Nairobi Mombasa in 24 hours. And it's being done.
I do Nairobi Mombasa in 45 minutes.
I think it's worth mentioning also.
I'm Jango.
Quite a number of riders rode to Sule's funeral in Eldoret. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and
that would have been nice to cover.
It was nice, and through that also we get to
Well, not nice, but
yeah, it was actually a very nice way to send him off because Sule was actually one of the pioneers of this, because he did Nairobi, Mombasa, Nairobi in 48 hours. That was a total of 1,000 kilometers. And through that, we raised around 2 million shillings for 2 orphanages, one in Nairobi, one in Eldoret. So through cycling and tourism, we are able to see that we're able to showcase different places of the country. When we go somewhere, we get a lot of interest from the local community. Our photos go viral, our videos go viral. Everyone is like, where is this? I want to go here. We've had cyclists ride from Nairobi to Moyale, stop by Ololokwe and take photos, and everyone is like, oh, Ololokwe looks this beautiful. We want to do it. It's doable on a bike. I want to do it. So
but this is something we should even be selling beyond our borders.
Exactly.
When they show the Italian and the Tour de France and whatever, they just show the landscape and whatever, and you're like, that's so beautiful. Yet, so we have it right here.
Yeah, exactly. I think right now one of the most travel destinations as cyclists is Iten Cabernet. And whenever we are there, the place just goes crazy. Everyone wants a video of something. Everyone wants a photo of something. Can you show us the gorge? Can you show us the winding road? how long can I get there? If I fly into Kenya and I want to go ride my bike there, how safe is it? You know, so we are seeing that through our socials and also through the events that we're doing, we are showcasing Kenya, just not only the places where we race, but also the places where we just randomly ride to. Yeah.
What would you say is the Chris Froome lesson for probably Kenyan managers of sport?
The talent is there, the knowledge is there. If Kinja trained Froome to a level where he could win the Tour de France, not once,
Not twice.
not twice,
Not thrice.
not thrice, 4 times.
And add the Vuelta to that.
And there was nothing, well, of course there's something special about Chris Froome, but there's nothing that separates him from the rest of Kenyan riders.
No.
Hard work beats talent any day.
Anything. So and actually you can see that when we had Kenyan riders down under, which was now a partnership between Kenyan riders and a team in Australia, the Kenyan riders actually rode against Chris Froome, and he was impressed. We've had a couple of riders in Kenya. We have John Karaoke, who's actually one of the best right now. Came under Sule Kangangi, you know, through Kenyan riders, and he won the event that sadly Sule passed away at. He won the event, and it had like some of the best alternative racing cyclists in the world. We have riders like Kenneth Karaya, who is challenging in the MTB. We have Nancy, who's doing amazing, and she's under scholarship to the Olympics at some point. And the Chris Froome lesson for me will be that, as he said, the talent is there. We just need the support. We don't want to get to a point. We don't want to get to a point where I have to go out of the country. I have to change my nationality to maybe British or Italian for me to get these opportunities.
Because I guess Chris Froome had to do that to get that opportunity.
Chris Froome was Kenyan.
He's Kenyan. Yes, he is Kenyan.
For Kenya. He actually raced for Kenya.
So shame on us.
Yeah.
I get goosebumps when you're talking and frustration because I know what could be.
Exactly.
What would be, as we wind up, what would be your ideal situation for cycling in Kenya? And what are your, where would you like to see Team VeloNos go? I'll ask the first question. Where would you like to see? Because like you've said, I've had to take a pause so I can focus on this and focus on that. But if things were working correctly, you'd say, all I want to do is ride, you know? So what would you like to see happen?
I think for me, it's what you just mentioned. Support. The talent is there, the passion is there. But, you know, that can only take you so far. If you're buying a bike worth $1,500, $2,000, when a component gets spoiled, you have to buy it at around $300. You're not working. Where are you going to get that money? So you may have passion, you may have the talent, but it will only get you to this point. What we need now, the next level is we need to get corporates interested in this sport. We have so many corporates in this country going in football, basketball, rugby, all that.
Athletics as well.
Athletics. But I don't think we have enough corporate interest in cycling. If we can get that into cycling, I think the whole scene is going to change.
What do you think we can do? More media attention?
For sure.
Of course.
Fun.
Yeah, so I think what we can do more is, of course, media attention. And at VeloNos, we have this saying that a cyclist is a moving billboard. So for
Absolutely,
example,
yes.
for example, you won't find more colorful jerseys than cycling jerseys. When teams decide to design their jerseys, they go the most colorful ways. So you can always pick their rider out. If you're doing a drone shot, you know that this is a VeloNos, this is a Simbas. So if we can get sponsors to come into the sport, just identify a team or an individual, I believe that we have the potential to grow.
Because you're cycling all over the country.
All
You
over.
can see you from here to...
And cyclists are very
Mombasa.
eccentric people,
Yeah, very.
big noise makers. So, you know, if you have a
You're
brand
a
that you need,
noisemaker? In the right environment.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you give them the right opportunity, they're going to bring your brand out.
And what's your hope and dream for Team VeloNos?
So not just Team VeloNos, but I will speak for Kenya cycling in general. My hope for Kenya cycling in general is that we can get to a point where cycling pays. We, as VeloNos Abayomi, we are really, really taking lessons from Rwanda, whereby they have this Tour de Rwanda, and if a Rwandese cyclist wins it, you get their faces plastered all over billboards. You know, they become brand ambassadors. They become, just the faces of everything. So the vision for us, not just as VeloNos, but also Kenya Cycling, is to get to a point where we have cyclists adorning billboards, cyclists earning from
their sport,
from
not
their sport.
not taking their salary to repair their bike.
Exactly.
Then,
And then also just to have one of the biggest series in Africa. Currently, apart from Rwanda, the Kenya Cycling Race Series is the next biggest series in East and Central Africa, because we do not have any other series, not in Uganda, not in Tanzania. It's just Rwanda. So we are really hoping that for 2023 and beyond, our plan is to have these riders come into Kenya and participate in these events. And we're actually grateful to all the corporates and all the sponsors who've supported us throughout the year. And I think,
but they can do more.
They can do more. Of course, they can do more. If you can get more people to come in, we usually say that a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. So the more people that can come in and support, the better for the sport, the better for their brands, their CSR, and also, just as we said, moving billboards, all this real estate, you're missing out.
You're missing out. Rwanda is really shaming us. It's not cycling, it's basketball, it's even football. They're overtaking us.
Actually, in 2025, we're heading to Rwanda for the World Championships.
World Championships?
Yeah, for the UCI World Road Racing Championships. So
are they going to steal our tourists? I can guarantee you that.
We're hoping
it's
not.
I was there for like how long were we there, Willie? Like 5-6 months?
Yeah.
20 years ago. Beautiful country. But then they're going to steal all our tourists if we're not careful.
Yeah.
Because we also have an equally beautiful country.
True.
But thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming. This interview I know is long overdue. Yeah. But I do want to get in touch with those ladies you came back with trophies the other day.
Big shout out to the Kenya Cycling women. For their second place at the Burundi Women Tour.
And they're coming back by bus.
Against all the odds. Against all the odds, they actually came second in the tour. I think that was through Alice. Alice rides for a team called RDX and Dada rides. So Dada rides is an all-women cycling team. So Dada. We'll try and get them on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to host them here. I'd like to host them here and give them some props, big ups,
Thank you.
And see what we can do to help. But thank you guys for coming.
Thank you so much for having us.
Charles and Allan.
Yes.
And I wish you guys at Team VeloNos all the best.
Thank you.
And Tour de France when?
Soon.
It's possible. It's possible.
It
but we also as Kenyans need to get behind you, even as fans. Just follow them. I'll share your social media handles and everything. Follow them, give them the props, so that they can also attract corporate sponsorships. Because one day you always put our names in lights and then...
Yeah.
Thanks for watching Radull Live. We will see you again next week. Bye-bye.